Oh my gosh, that's recording.
We're doing the thing.
We're doing the damn thing.
You're wearing a robe.
I veiled.
Okay.
Should I take it off? I'm wearing a shirt, but I'm not wearing a bra.
That is up to you and your nipples, my friend.
They will be visible, so that's why I'm sticking with this. I'm
Okay,
chilling.
we'll
We're
stick
chilling
with
in
the
our
robe.
house. Yeah.
Cheers.
Cheers. to
Cheers,
this.
and welcome to Messy Minds.
Well, we finally did the damn thing.
We did. Okay, so some of you might have listened to us before. We used to have an audio-only podcast on Anchor FM called Messy Minds that we had a few people listening to.
What? Quite a few.
Quite a few. I think it ended up being like 20 people that would listen regularly.
Hey,
It was
Shout out.
and
you
not
know who you
all of
are.
them were our friends either.
It's true.
So.
It's true. I think we had listeners in other countries. We went
We
international.
did. There was a little bit in Canada.
We were
did.
international
According
for a
to the
minute.
analytics
We
on
have
the app.
since returned from our tour.
So we had decided that when we moved into our apartment together, that, and by the way, that audio podcast is mostly gone. There's only one episode left
The
up.
really good episode.
It got real personal. It got a little weird. I'm not gonna lie. It got a little strange.
It became more about venting and trauma dumping.
It was very therapeutic for us.
100% cathartic, 100%.
Yeah.
But it veered away from our original intention, which was to actually advise based on experience to get to what is mental health when it comes to life.
Right.
And
And
everything
it,
that it throws at you.
in the end, it got us to a healthier place.
It did.
But it wasn't, I don't think, very helpful to other people.
Some people found it helpful.
Some people did. Some
Our 20
people-
subscribers found it
Some
helpful.
people enjoyed it quite a bit.
So hopefully, with the addition of us maturing from the infancy of our podcast,
Right. Where our goal here is to, I don't know. When I had the original idea for the podcast, my goal was to kind of help people who maybe felt alone. I know that
or felt similar to
when
us.
I was looking for a podcast, there wasn't anything that fit what it was exactly that I was looking for, which was, some kind of millennial advice, some kind of modern advice, you
Yeah.
know.
Everything's really outdated right now,
and written by people who are much older than
yeah,
us.
yeah, like well in their 30s, and it's like you are on a whole other different level of dating, and dating in your 20s is super different right now, especially in your late 20s.
Right. Well, and mental health as a whole is so different.
In your 20s and 30s.
Right, exactly. So I just kind of wanted something that would not only help me grow as a person, but would, possibly help somebody else not feel quite so alone in their journey or whatever. So
Yeah.
here we are. I suppose.
We're here.
We're finally here. It took us 6 months after we moved into the apartment. Unfortunately, we had life happen.
And Saturn.
And Saturn. Saturn was in for 5 months.
That can be a whole other topic for another time.
Yeah, we'll get into astrology at some point.
Oh,
I'm
yes,
sure.
we will.
We're-
Oh, yes, we will. We will be using a lot of research and backing up with medical journals and stuff, but a lot of it will also be experience based and just kind of coming from the heart and soul.
Right. So I am Brianna.
I'm Chelsea.
So Chelsea, who are you?
Oh God, that's a complicated question. I don't even know how to answer that. But well, in regards to you, we have been best friends for 13 years.
We have been.
Officially, I think that's
It's as of this October. Yes.
as of this month. It's been 13 years. So we have been through the ringer with each other.
Oh, we have gone through quite
Hell.
Quite a
Absolute
bit.
hell and absolute hell and back. Pretty sure there's nothing. There's nothing that will
most of my biggest development, I think, has happened since I have met you. So
Yeah.
you've seen quite a few sides of me.
Yeah, likewise. It's just we've been through everything with each other. In regards to you and I think I am very much the calm to your chaos.
Yes.
And
We are very much opposites.
we never look like we should belong together when we go out together. It's really funny. We're not going to the same place, but we are. But honestly, I think who I am as a person, I've come to find, is I am very much just a soul occupying this vessel, experiencing everything that this particular life has to offer me, and I am here to help and heal. I think I'm a healer.
You're adorable. I think you're so cute.
Thank you so much. And I am a THC product. Probably that's another one. I'm a very huge proponent of cannabis and very 420 friendly, and I work in cannabis.
She works in cannabis.
Very much so.
Yeah.
So I will probably be throwing that out there semi-frequently.
So what's your mental health background, I guess? What's your history there?
So I was, I've been serotonin imbalanced for my pretty much teenagerdom. It was discovered. And then ironically enough, I ended up getting a serotonin molecule as my first tattoo on my 18th birthday because, if I can't produce it myself, might as well get it permanently tattooed on my body. So
Right, that should be helpful.
yeah, I figured as much. I was like, well, it's there. So dark humor. But I think that explains a lot of natural pitfalls that I will have with myself and self-deprecation and moments and bouts of depression. And you and I have had this conversation personally, but it'll happen even when I'm doing wonderfully. Everything's going right in my life and I'm happy, I'm successful in my career, my relationships with my family and friends are great, and I will just be unmotivated and unwilling to do anything that I enjoy and don't want to get out of bed. I don't want to see anybody. I don't want to talk to anybody. I'm just done. It happens. So I've been battling depression pretty much, I feel like, since I was 14, truly, that I really have been recognized and aware of it. And that kind of, I've been mostly aware of OCD now as an adult, but I've been aware of tics that I've had since I was a child. So mental health in and of itself, I'm very neurodivergent. But ultimately, as it comes down to it, I have gone to therapy, multiple therapists, and many different aspects and versions of it. I'm also very pro-therapy and think that there is a therapist out there for everyone. It just takes the time and the research and the guidance and the patience to find the right one that works for you. And I know you've experienced this yourself as well. But it's come down to my mental health has always been up to myself and that self-reliance, because no one else is going to fix what's going on in my head for me.
Right.
No one else is going to love myself for me.
You're responsible.
I'm responsible
for
100%
yourself.
for my mental
You're an
health.
adult now.
Exactly.
Right.
And taking responsibility for that is really, really hard on those days when those bouts of depression kick in. But mental health as a whole is loving every aspect of myself, the neurodivergent parts where my OCD tics kick in, or I can't get out of bed for days, or I'm making mistakes. It's loving those mistakes and loving the lessons that I learned from that. And it's loving myself through it all and having compassion and understanding for going through what I'm going through and being kind to myself.
And that's something that's really, really difficult for a lot of people
It's
to
so
grasp.
hard.
It's such a difficult, and I actually had today in therapy, had a small moment of
Compassion for yourself.
intense crying.
Yeah.
Because my therapist had forced me
To be nice to
be
yourself.
nice to myself. She was like, "No, that was not nice. What? That's not what I asked you to do," and made me do it again. And I actually, it was the first time in my life that I'd been truly kind to myself, I think. I expect a lot out of myself.
Of course, yeah. You have high expectations for yourself, and I empathize with that spiritually.
Right, absolutely. Yeah. And so I do a lot of analyzing my feelings rather than feeling them, and
as is your Virgo nature,
and trying to fix them rather than just experience them as they come. I just want to fix it and make it go away.
Yeah.
And that's not conducive to healing. It's
not.
very detrimental. And we will get to that topic at
Yes.
some point in time. We will make a video on that,
Yes.
I'm sure.
But good segue into you. Who are you?
Oh, so I work in the medical field. I have a small child
Mm-hmm.
who I love very much, and I don't know. I have anxiety
Yeah.
a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, an array of other things also that me and my therapist are trying to navigate right now.
We'll say neurodivergent as
It's
well.
a fun, yeah, we're definitely neurodivergent up here.
Very much. Very
Definitely slightly odd.
Much so. Your weird matches my weird. It works.
Yeah, it's
it works.
fine. We're
Yeah, no
good.
cheers to being weird.
Yes.
Honestly.
It's more fun this way.
Never freaking bored. My parents still tell people to this day, if you could describe Chelsea, what would you say? And they would be like, you'll never be bored.
My dad says adaptable.
Yeah.
That's the first
Do
word
they
that
do a
comes to
big
him.
deep sigh before? Because my parents do, and it kind of concerns me every time when they're like,
No, my dad just always immediately jumps into a story about how when I was a kid he would try to punish me, and it never worked very well because I didn't care, because he would punish me and I would be like, okay, I'll go read a book. Like, and I would be fine. Like, I would not even be upset. He's like, you were too adaptable. I couldn't even punish you. You didn't care. So
but now we care.
now I care.
Now we care all the time. Now we care
Now I
all
care
the
a lot.
time.
So my therapist and I are trying to figure out the various array and combination of neurodivergencies that I'm working with here.
Yeah.
This is actually my 7th therapist in
Yeah.
my life. So
I think,
Listen,
yeah, I
I've
think
done
I've
the
got it.
therapy thing.
Yeah.
Okay. And I've had good therapists and I've had really bad therapists.
As we all have. As we all have.
I've had therapists that I've gotten up and left in the middle of the session.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it was that bad.
Yeah.
Um,
I know which one. I know which one.
like
Yeah.
I've had bad therapists, but I've also had very good therapists. The one that I have right now is my personal favorite.
She's amazing.
I think
She's perfect for you.
Fabulous.
She's perfect for you.
yeah, she is.
She's a perfect therapist for
She's
you.
a great match for me.
Yeah, truly.
And she really knows exactly what it is that I need. She's fabulous. I
Yeah.
really like her a lot. I think that I'm going to make a lot of progress with her. I already have.
A shit ton.
Yeah.
A shit ton of progress, honestly.
Yeah. More than I think I have in any other therapist previously.
I think because, like, I stand by what I said. I think there is truly a therapist for everyone out there, and they exist. It's just finding them.
Yeah.
It's finding the right one that fits who you are as a person and will guide you in the right direction and understands you.
Yeah. So I started this year out. I guess my big thing that I struggle with is that I started this year out getting a divorce.
Mm-hmm.
And trying to heal from that.
Yeah.
And I've spent the last few months just kind of navigating. I started dating again and
Co-parenting.
and
with
co-parenting,
yeah.
and it's been challenging.
To say the
We'll
least.
say.
To say the least.
Um,
Absolutely.
But I think the most important part of what I've been doing this year is I've been given the opportunity, the time that I spent alone this year, I was given the opportunity to heal the things that I hadn't thought about in years and really focus on my childhood issues and focus on the issues that I had had in past relationships and kind of resolve some of the problems that I had with myself, because I went through a very long time in my life that I hated myself, right? And I am no longer in that place, thankfully.
No, I know, and it was a long time.
It was most of my life, I would say. And I'm finally in a place where I don't feel that way, and it's because I was given this opportunity to be by myself in a way that I never have been before in my life.
Well, you were able to remove yourself from very toxic situations.
Right. And I really, for the first time in my life, was in a place where I was not around anything toxic for an extended period of time.
Mm-hmm. We worked really hard to make this place really, like, peaceful
Yeah.
and, like,
And
just keep out everything negative.
Yeah, and it took a lot of work, and it was really difficult. And I understand why people struggle with it, because there's no manual. There's really not. And so I guess I just, I really hope that I can maybe give somebody some kind of boost or something.
Can
I don't
connect.
know. Yeah, that is my hope with this.
That's the whole point. I mean, that is the whole point of this crazy thing that every human is doing on this planet called life. Like, and the way that we're doing things. It's literally just...
Everything's about connection.
Everything is about connection. We just have to be kinder to one another because we are all the same.
Exactly.
We are all the same.
So, this is a channel about mental health, right?
It is.
All right, so in this study called What is Good Mental Health? A Scoping Review, good mental health is defined as a state of well-being that allows individuals to cope with the normal stresses of life and function productively. Universal and selective interventions are suitable to promote mental health. Core domains that define good mental health encompass mental health literacy, attitude towards mental disorders, self-perceptions and values, cognitive skills, academic occupational performance, emotions, behaviors, self-management, social skills, family and significant relationships, physical health, sexual health, meaning of life, and quality of life.
Like, what does it not rule?
Right. Well, I
Like,
mean,
what does it not
think about it.
encompass?
Your mental health is affected by every single thing that you do. It's affected by what you eat. It's
I
affected by
know.
who you surround yourself with. It's affected by how your job is going. It's
And the worst part of
everything.
it is, it's what, the last maybe 10 to 20 years that we've really had like serious breakthroughs on medical diagnoses regarding mental health disorders and such.
Right, exactly. Here in the state that we live in, there is only one facility that will take you uninsured. It's about government
cash.
funding.
It's about cash.
It's about government funding. The state can only provide so much if nobody's paying for it.
The craziest part about all of this is like, even if we just like broke it down to like a couple of things, or like even if we cut that list in half, it would still be enough to hinder a person in any way, shape, or form that doesn't have the proper resources or healthy outlets to fuck up their life completely.
Absolutely.
Regardless of whether they are mild to severe functioning.
One of my family members was a psychiatrist at a prison, a maximum security prison, for a really long time. And he used to tell me all the time when I was a kid that there are so many people in prison that would not be in prison if we had better mental health systems in America, because it's really just people who needed the help.
That didn't get it.
Exactly. That
And were
it wasn't
treated
available
like
to
they
them
were
because they weren't insured.
Ostracized.
Right,
Exactly.
or because there's too little resources available, or they're, they can't afford it.
Or they're
It's-
ostracized and they were treated like an outcast.
Right,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah.
And honestly, that's enough to set people off the edge if they don't have healthy outlets or resources.
Well, and listen, if you're not sociable, how easy is it to get a job, really? And then you're
It's hard.
resorting to being homeless and stealing and whatever because you can't get a job.
And you
It's
can't
hard
have
when
one.
you have stunted developmental or stunted social skills, like a lot of people with mental health issues do.
And not just that, but these can come at later times. It's like you could have a perfectly good childhood, i.e. me here, for instance, and have trauma happen to you later in life that could affect your mental health as well.
Look at how many homeless veterans that
Exactly.
we have.
That
Because they
enlisted at 18 years old.
and come back and they've got PTSD. They can't assimilate themselves into a civilian
Oh,
life
yeah.
again very well.
There's
It's
no
super difficult
program.
for them, and there's no help. There's not enough being done to help anybody in this aspect. And it's the most important thing to you is your mental health. Your physical and your mental health are the most important things.
But they
And-
coincide with each other. Like, that was one of the aspects that literally mental health encompasses and rules over is your physical health. If I am fucked up in the head, you best believe my stomach is gonna feel it.
Well, there's that effect, but there's also the effect that your physical health has on your
Mental
Mental
health
health.
too. If
You
you're
get-
not exercising
you
regularly,
get diagnosed
or
with cancer, that's
That
not going to be
fucks you
great
up.
for your mental health, right?
Yeah.
And like you said, exactly, you know, if you're exercising, the idea is that
Being
will improve
active
your
enough.
mental health, right?
Yes.
Because it improves your dopamine and your serotonin and all of that and your norepinephrine and
endorphins.
right.
They make you happy. Happy people, and they
Which
just
is
don't get endorphins.
actually, speaking of, you mentioned your serotonin deficiency.
Mhm.
I have a dopamine deficiency, so my depression is different than yours.
Yes.
Because it deals with different neurotransmitters. So I actually can't take SSRIs like most people with depression do.
Mm-hmm.
It really messes me up.
And I refuse to because I'm pharmacokinetics, so and psychotropics.
So yes, so we've got a lot of things to cover. I think we've got a lot of, you know, we're gonna be talking to you guys for a minute probably.
Yes. Yes. We'll be talking.
We
your
clearly
ears
have a
off.
very long list to
To
get
go
from.
over.
So let me ask you, what does good mental health look like to you?
I think it's exactly that. I think it's having stability. it's stability. Like honestly, I can't say
Yeah.
it any better than
I
just
mean-
having
To encompass it, yeah.
balance, like true to God balance and loving yourself through it all. Whether like loving the mistakes that you make, the lessons that you learn from it, loving the happy, loving the sad, understanding that everything is temporary, but embracing and feeling everything through, not repressing, not letting things fester, not lashing out and taking it out on other people, which is a huge issue, I think, that a lot of people have and they don't realize that they do.
Yeah.
And that ends up causing trauma for other people as well, which is something I personally have experienced myself. But I think all in all, it really is just having this harmonious balance within your body, your mind, and your spirit that you're just kind of experiencing it all. You know what I mean? It's true peace.
Yeah.
It's true peace and stability.
That's so funny that you say that because what I was going to say is that this question makes me think a lot about when I first started with this therapist. And one of the first questions that she asked me was, what is your goal coming to therapy? And I told her it was to be 80% peaceful. Because listen, I'm always going to have things.
I mean, you thrive in the
something-
chaos. You do.
I do thrive in chaos. I do.
It's
do.
your thing.
And I'm 80% might be overshooting it a bit. I think I might be bored at that point. We'll go with 70. We'll go with 70%.
Maybe a 50-50. I mean, yeah,
It's whatever.
60-40.
We'll go with 70%. And I think that that's really what it would be, you know, and I would agree with you that it's all about balance and it's all about letting yourself feel the feelings, giving yourself grace, understanding that we're all human, and just healthy coping mechanisms.
Healthy coping
Good God,
mechanisms.
have good coping mechanisms. That is the most important thing
That
to work on.
don't
I think that's actually
hinder
going to be
you
our next
or another
video. It's
person.
probably
Yeah,
going
healthy
to be
coping
on healthy
mechanisms.
coping mechanisms because that is one of the most important things.
Yes.
It's so bad.
Yes.
Your coping mechanisms can really just absolutely destroy your life. And
you
nobody
know what?
really points to what good ones are.
No, coping mechanisms.
Except for
is gonna
like,
be
they're like,
really
go for a
interesting.
run. And I'm like, I have asthma.
Yeah. It'll be, it's interesting because the coping mechanisms that you also develop sometimes develop out of survival and like a fight or flight
Absolutely.
response.
Absolutely.
And-
And that's really hard to recognize sometimes. And I mean, you've witnessed it multiple times over the last
And-
6 months that we've
and
lived together.
likewise you have on me.
realize that something is a trauma response.
And I mean, like, you've seen my trauma response firsthand, like how
Yeah.
I just literally,
Yeah, exactly.
down.
Exactly.
so it's a thing that, I mean, it's something that even we still have to work on to this day, is to check ourselves on that thing. Mental health is not something that once you're there, you're like, oh, all right, everything's fine and
Right,
dandy,
the
I'm
work is-
healthy every day. No, it's a fucking practice.
The work is
every
never
day.
done.
It's
And that's
never
why
done.
a lot of people choose not to do it. Is not only do they not know what they're supposed to do, but it's a lot of work and it's painful.
Every fucking day. Oh,
And
so
it
much shadow
never
work. Oh, so much
ends.
shadow work with your inner
triggers
child.
never end. You never stop working on things. There's never a point at which you go, well, I can't get any better now.
It just hurts less.
Right.
It really
just
does.
gets easier.
It just gets easier because you end up having understanding and more empathy.
Right.
And I think
more compassion.
Yeah.
And that is one of the most important parts of healing things is you have to stop being so angry at yourself. But that'll be a whole
Again, that'll be
video
touched
in
on with
itself, for
coping
sure.
mechanisms for sure.
For sure. So I guess
It's peace.
yeah,
It's
peace. It's
peace.
peace, it's
But
balance, it's compassion.
And it's
for
work.
yourself.
And it's work
And
every
it's work.
day.
It is. It's a commitment to actually
It's a relationship with yourself that
Yeah.
you're actually fostering, like, and
Yeah.
this is the most important and the longest standing your relationship you're ever gonna have.
Mm-hmm.
Like, nobody's gonna lie in your grave at the end of the day.
Yeah.
You best believe that you need to treat yourself nicely.
eventually.
It took a minute for the both of us too. I still find myself having these like little impulsive moments, you know.
Yeah, the rumination is so easy to fall into. It really is. The bad habits are the easiest ones to get into.
Especially when you have those moments of triggers, because those are the ones that you will literally default to, just out of fight or flight, usually.
Absolutely.
But it takes actually checking yourself and having the logical thought process and having that inner monologue, and we'll get into inner monologues at a later time too, but like having that conversation with yourself of like, this is not an appropriate response, like take a step back and take a deep breath and look at it from an outside perspective of how they're responding to this situation, why they're responding like this. It's just, it is 100% empathy from all aspects.
Yeah. Look, it's not an easy road, but it is the better one because I am in a much better place now after having done some things to make myself better than I have ever been in my life before. And now when things come up, it's a lot easier for me to deal with.
Yeah.
It is. I mean, it is like it's still triggering, but it's less triggering.
It is.
And I understand what's happening now, and it's
And you
a lot
don't go
easier to
into
cope
a
with.
destructive mode
Exactly.
like you would have
and that's
in the past.
most important part is that my coping mechanisms have changed now.
And they're less destructive.
And they're less destructive. So that's an
an
what we're gonna
improvement.
focus on with that.
And progress is progress, even if it's 1%.
Absolutely.
And I think that's the hardest thing. Is like, if people get into this and they're like struggling with it and they're not making the leaps and bounds that other people have made,
Then they feel like they're failing. And they
they're
wanna
failing.
give
They're
up
not there.
and slide back.
Exactly. But 1% is still progress. You have to move at your own pace, and honestly, moving slower rather than faster is better because that way you're not missing any steps to your healing process.
Well, and it's so hard sometimes to see that progress in yourself. Just the same way it's hard to see progress physically if you start going to the gym. Sometimes you feel like you look the same and all of your friends are like, oh my god, you look so good.
I think it was like the statistic was like it takes 8 weeks to notice on yourself.
Right, because you see yourself every day, so
And
the
you're so
changes,
hypercritical.
Right,
We're
so-
all hypercritical.
But the changes are so minuscule to you because you look at yourself in the mirror every single day. It just kind of slowly morphs and you don't really notice it unless you put two pictures next to each other, right?
Yep.
But all of your people around you are noticing because they don't see you as often. But it's the same way with mental health. Look, you're in your head every single moment of every single day. And sometimes when you're in your bad days and you're having these intrusive thoughts or you're having these anxiety thoughts or you're having these depressive thoughts all the time, it can be easy to think that you haven't progressed at all. And that's why it's good
And
to have
honestly-
somebody, like I'm thankful that I have you
Yeah.
as we call each other accountability partners. That's a thing from when we first met
2008.
13 years ago
Holy
at
shit.
church.
Yeah. That's a whole other topic for another
So
time
that's
too.
but that's why it's good to have somebody close to you that you can trust to talk to and share things with.
And
that,
bounce ideas off of each
right,
other.
who can check you and let you know that, hey, look, you're doing good. Like you're making progress.
Yeah.
You shouldn't be so hard on yourself. And so I think that's really good. And if you guys have somebody like that, you should probably, I don't know, reach out to them and let them know that you're on a journey right now and that you might need some
guidance.
assistance and some checking every once in a while.
And honestly, if you don't have those people in your life, we can be those people for your life.
Oh yeah, absolutely. We do have an email.
And an Instagram. It's
Go ahead.
open. It's open. Like I think like you said, everybody should have someone supporting them through their mental health journey. It is a journey in and of itself.
Yeah. It's so important to have a support system. It's also important to have stuff out there.
And to
I
create
think
your own support system.
find, if you don't have a current support system, try to find something. There are groups, there are clubs, there are anything. Find anything. Go to a park. I don't know.
Connect with nature.
Honestly.
Nature's a great support system in my opinion.
Yeah, find something that you like. Go and do that thing and talk to somebody at that thing.
Yeah.
As hard as it is, force yourself to talk to the nicest person you see.
The least amount of RBF than your opinion.
Like, if you don't have a support system, it's so important. You really need to try to
Again, this life
connect
is
with
about
other
connection.
humans. It's
Yes.
so important to have that connection and that support.
And this
So-
last year of just being isolated did nothing for anyone's social skills whatsoever. I feel like we've all regressed a little bit
Oh,
in
yeah,
social
absolutely.
aspects. Like, I feel weird. I think I prided myself
Everybody's
on
a
being
lot
like the
weirder.
social butterfly of the group, and
Everybody's
I
very
feel
strange.
weird. Yeah, like I just like it. Just everybody's weird. Like I think we all just let our fab freaks fly, and like it was just it happened. Like now we're all out loose, and it's just we're seeing it all.
Yeah.
So it's fine. It's cool. Like I love seeing everybody's weirdness. Find somebody's weirdness that matches your weirdness.
Honestly, something that I've noticed is over the pandemic, people seem to have gotten a lot more comfortable being themselves and being weird, and I'm kind of a big fan. So,
I am too.
you know, let's be weird.
Let's be weird.
I'm a fan of that.
Find your weird friends and create a good support system that has your back.
Absolutely.
Like that's it. That's honestly it.
And so I think that just about wraps up our first episode.
We
here.
did the damn thing. We finally did the damn thing. We had it. Well, that's Messy Minds.
All right, that's Messy Minds. I'm Brianna.
I'm Chelsea.
We'll see you next time.